Hello, lovelies. Um, this morning when I woke up, I got an interesting message in a dream, and I wanted to do a reading on it. Um, the last couple weeks, last few weeks, I've gotten a few messages about some kind of pandemic, epidemic, that type of infection happening. And this morning, I'm trying to think about how to word this because I want to make it very clear that this is a dream. This is from a dream. Um, and that any statements I make are alleged. I have no proof of anything that I'm going to say occurred in my dream. And I don't want to make any accusations here. So, um, part of the dream involved how how the infection spreads. And one of those ways is through public restrooms. And you know what? I need to pause before I say this next part because I got to check something because I need to be very careful here. Okay, that's relief. I can say what I want to say without being, uh, without focusing on any one company because no one company is part of my dream. It's all of these, and that is the hand blowing air dryers. They are notoriously, if you ever do a microbiology test and have a petri dish to swab, oh yeah, that's an interesting test. It comes out very ick because the hand dryer takes in all the bacteria and the viruses in the bathroom and it puts it through the machine and puts it on your hands. So that is well known. You can do a Google search on that if you'd like to learn more. Um, anyway, so if the prediction that I made a few weeks ago comes true, where there is some kind of an epidemic. For example, here's a great example. When COVID increases in numbers in different communities, they will test the wastewater to see how many parts per million of the virus live in the wastewater. And the same can be done with other viruses, bacteria, that type of stuff. So I wanted to read on that, and I'm not, I shuffled the cards and then I did the yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And as I look at these cards, I can see kind of a connection, and yet I'm not sure. And the reason I'm talking about the hand air dryers is because that was part of the dream. And that was brought forth as part of the dream. They showed me that. So, but the problem that I'm having with this is as I was thinking of it, this reading versus some kind of an infectious process. I'm a little bit struggling to make the connection here between these cards and a hand blow dryer and an infectious process. But I'll get there. So We have some people who are in power, a man and a woman, and they are holding the power. And because of their duties, I'm sorry, here we go. Let me come back a little bit. I'm using the Trish James predictions deck. And so the two people at the top of my reading are the king and the queen holding power, and because of their duties, they're staying quiet. But tensions escalate, and it is very possible that they're in pocket with the politicians who they coerce and manipulate. Now, I do want to say this is not King Charles and Queen Camilla. This is just they represent. He has a king's crown on his head. She has a queen's crown on her head. So, it could be some other country and it could be nothing. It could be owners of a business. It could be, just a man and a woman who represent that in a leadership position. So, anyway, um, in pocket with politicians and government who they coerce and manipulate, but the information is classified. Now, whether that's classified within the government, whether it's classified within a business, whether it's classified information among different countries, I'm not sure yet. So let's move on and see what we can get. Um, there is a possibility. Now, when I look at this card, this is rockets and SpaceX. Um, when I look at this card, the very first thing I heard was drones. Could there be a chemical warfare? Of course there can be. Pretty much every country has their own biologicals lab, and in those labs, they have biological warfare. Here in the United States, we have smallpox still in one of those labs somewhere. So, um, allegedly, allegedly, we still have smallpox. Anyhow, or so they could use a number of different methods. It could be submarine or underwater, and or it could be by drone. They could hurt other people through energy weapons. Whatever the method is, that could spread and it mutates quickly, much like COVID did. Some are, some will survive, some will be rescued and revived, some will not, if it's true. And this is definitely, they call it biological warfare for a reason. It is warfare. It is a method of taking something by force, and it becomes mainstream news. So if this does become an issue, if heavy on the if, I don't know that this will ever come true. But it's piggybacking off of what I've seen earlier, the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I just felt the need to learn a bit more and see where we could go with it. All right, so I feel like I need a little bit more. I'm going to pause for a minute and find a different method. I'll be right back. Okay, so because I love her cards so much, I'm using the Trish James investigation deck this time around. I just love her cards. They are uncanny how accurate they are. All right, so I got a little more clarity on this, and I think this actually goes back to COVID. when 45, the felon, was in office the first time around. And everybody's here in the United States, we talk about COVID beginning in 2020. The reality is I am 99.9% certain that COVID actually began in 2019 here. And I say that because a lot of people were very sick in November, December, January. And I live in the Midwest. I am, oh gosh, I don't want to give too much away. So, relatively close to the Chicago airport, O'Hare Airport. And there was a lot of people who were sick here and who had pneumonia that could not be treated well. I mean, it was pretty ugly here that winter. And I know my aunt was in a nursing home at the time, and early December, I went to visit her. And obviously that wasn't the only time I went to visit her. But I was there early December, and she was extremely sick, and she'd been in the hospital for pneumonia and back to the nursing home. And when I visited her, she was burning up and yet shivering cold. And that is kind of one of the first signs I saw when I got COVID. Only, yeah, that's irrelevant. Anyway, so I feel like now I don't know whether COVID was considered a biological warfare. I don't know that we will ever, as the John Q public, if we will ever know whether that was the case. Is it possible? It could be. Is it a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? Could be. All right, but um, so some so in this set of cards, somebody was being watched, and I, instead of stalker, I think spy. And there were some trade issues. So this card, sorry, let me bring those up so you can see them easier, better. So the first one is stalker being watched. Instead of stalker, I feel like this is being a spy, that somebody was spied on. Our next card is hostage or trade. Even back in 2019 and 2020, 45 was talking about a trade war with China. Things were seen, something was seen. There were people who witnessed whatever happened. Searches were made, and I know that our alphabet agencies, they did an investigation on this, but I've never seen the results of that investigation. I just know that they said one was occurring. The high priestess, there's knowledge about this and it is hidden. I don't know. We're kind of shiny here today. Hidden knowledge. Um, and unfortunately, what it caused was chaos, the tower. I love this artwork on this card. It is so cool. This is there's a clock in the middle of this, but this looks like a tree that kind of split open, and this is a building that's kind of crumbling down. But so chaos, I think that's fairly accurate. And we, John Q. Public, are the hermit and left in the dark. So I do feel like this is potentially related to COVID. And that may mean that there's another COVID um, mutation that's highly infective coming along. We don't know yet. Don't know yet. So I hope that is not the case. Um, I hope you're all safe. And I realize at the very beginning of this video, I did not say, hello, lovelies, I'm Lynn. My bad. I'm so sorry. Hello, lovelies. So anyway, so I do feel like this was related to COVID. I hope not. I hope that everybody remains safe and that and healthy and healthy. All right. And on that note, let's bring you back to a place of centered and calm peace. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And as you let it out, release all the energy that is stress. You're like all the stress from the week and all the stress from today. Release it, let it flow out of your body. Life is good. And as you feel that stress and fear and anger and frustration, let room for joy and laughter and happiness and love fill you up. Think of something during the week that brought you laughter. Think of something over your lifetime that has brought you joy and love. And on that, that's the end of my reading. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not yet, I hope you will subscribe, hit a like button if you have any questions, if you have any ideas for readings, let me know. I generally do readings for a collective. I don't do personal readings. But if you have a personal question, no. Uh, if I can tie it to the greater good, I will. I'll read on it. If not, then, I might say something, but so, all right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Take care. Bye bye now.